Ew. A sort of response to Alan, Static Traveller, his latest video books. Books have always been, all my life, have been equally as important to me as music. Um, Unfortunately, due to a lot of moving about in my line of work over my working life, I had to make a decision: do I keep books or records? Well, I kept the records, but kept them in storage. The books it's just too much, especially original 1800s and 19th century books. They weigh a ton. I basically learnt not to hang on to books. I've got, probably half a dozen Bukowski books that I keep with me and read, once a year. I could probably recite them off the top of my head, but I'm not saying he's the greatest writer of all time, but I just like Bukowski in a way that I could never, ever like William S. Burroughs. But so, yeah, I just love to see other people. You were right. I saw one of the comments. A reply to one of the comments on your video, Alan, about it's right. Even in the thrifties and the junk shops now, or not junk shops, but in the thrifties, the Salvos, Vinnies, all that stuff. You're quite right. You just can't find those wonderful old Penguin editions anymore. You're right. They just only have garbage that looks new and unreadable junk. It's depressing. I mean, I was just so happy to find an Adam Faith 45 on Australian Parlophone, pink and gold label, which I'd never seen before last week. And I know it's Adam Faith and it's a crap record, but that was a real buzz. I mean, how I found that in this day and age, I will never know. So I count that as a blessing. It still happens, but not very often. Yeah, books. I was blessed to have a godmother who lived in the inner west suburb of Ashfield in Sydney, and I used to stay at her place over the Christmas break quite often, to get away from the semi-rural place where I grew up and to move into the inner city, which is so exciting to a kid in those days. And her neighbour 2 doors down on one side, neighbours, sorry, were retired school teachers, I believe. Old English couple. There's so many English people when I was a kid. Especially in the inner west area there. I knew more English people than I did Australians almost. And they're a lovely, lovely couple. And their house, they were hoarders of books, and look, at the time it was a wonderland to me as a kid. But when I look back now, I think, oh my God, they were hoarders big time. It's just, you get to squeeze through the narrow, entrance and get into their cramped little sitting room or whatever it is, and it's just books, 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 and they sort of always lent me half a dozen books, and I'd read them and return them next visit. And the normal stuff, Coral Island, and you know all those classic kids books. There was that little fat kid, Rich. Here's Rich. Um, oh, damn, too early. Some fat Billy Bunter type, not Billy Bunter, but oh damn, it'll come to me in a minute and finish this video. I'm getting off track here. Yeah, I have got a few books here. I read constantly. I'm always buying secondhand books, and then I donate them straight back, so they get a double sale off them. I don't keep books as much as I would love to. There's another reason why I don't. Richmond Compton wrote those books about a fat kid, and it was actually a woman, but oh damn, anyway. Another reason why I don't collect a lot of old books is that I've suffered from allergies all my life, and especially dust mites. So that's a bit of a no-no. I can walk into a second-hand bookshop and have to turn around and get out sometimes. Just the overpowering smell of yes. But I have kept this. This is easy to keep. Look how light and loose this is. Magazines. See, I had every Mojo music magazine from number one right. I had hundreds of them, and I had to let them go. I just had to. It was one of the hardest days of my life. It hurt because that was pre-internet, and that was a wealth of information. And the record collectors. I had decades worth of record collectors that you could not carry anywhere. You'd fill a skip with the Mojos and record collectors. So I just kept this one for one reason. It's Punch. It's sixpence. I don't know how this one's going to come out. This looks a bit bright. I'll darken it. That might help. Might make it worse. January 31, 1951. I've just kept this. This is the original. What's left of it. I threw the rest of it away because it's falling to bits. And it's pretty crap actually anyway, but it's just good. Just good to see all these old ads and things. This is, of course, UK. But I love this because I was born in March 1951, so I consider this it's a few months older than I am. And Punch Office, 10 Bouverie Street, London. Yeah, the wonderful, legendary Punch. So, yeah, books. Love them. Love them. Love them. So keep them coming now. Other things I collect on and off, which are lightweight and not are easy if you move around. Like this is a complete set of Australian butterflies, silk butterfly printed on silk. These are well over 100 years old. Complete set. I sent my spares to my friend Matthias in Deutschland. Yeah, things like that. So it's the collector thing, but I've always loved cigarette cards as a lifelong smoker myself. These little cigarette cards, though this one's from a Wizard magazine. Yeah, the big paper for boys, Wizard. See, there's another one. Anyway, getting off track there. And while we're on the subject of collecting, I collect my old driver's licenses. It's quite interesting to see how a person can change. These weren't brought in until early 90s, and these licenses are every 5 years. So that's 10. There's 25 years worth of driver's licenses here. It's just interesting to me, but I want to show them anyway. This is when I was living in Balmain East, a trendy sort of slowly being gentrified suburb. The interesting thing about this is I literally lived in the same street as Malcolm Young from AC/DC. He didn't live there, but he owned a place. It was called Cockroach Castle back in the 70s. But it's a beautiful old sandstone mansion worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. I mean, the view is literally the Harbour Bridge. It's just an amazing bloody place. And I lived in this ghastly, rundown what do you call it, like a um, thrown together. It's not, what they cut. They converted this building into about 20 different ramshackle flats, and that was run and owned by one of the most famous criminal families in Sydney. So a lot of history there. I could got plenty of stories to tell about that. I have told them in previous videos, but here we go. So this is when I was living in East Balmain in the early 1990s. Young, fat, and 40. Next one. Oh, this is hilarious. I think I've lost one somewhere. Might have lost them. Yeah, I've lost a few somehow. Um, that was that's early 1990s. I don't know what happened to the other ones from the 1990s. Here's another funny one. This is um, oh no, 5-year licenses. No, that's all right. I keep thinking yes. So this one would have been expires 2004. So this would have been 1999. This is me going through my French criminal look. Then we're moving on to psychopathic serial killer number one. This was 2005. Aging psychopathic serial killer from 2011. To my latest one, defrocked priest. Bye now.